Hello and welcome to the Video Lab podcast. My name is Sam and I'm here with my good friend AJ.
Hey there.
Together we review movies, TV shows, and streaming content. On today's episode, we're going to be joined by special guest Bryce, who we happen to know from
the past.
Which is middle school and high school.
And beyond.
And beyond.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
What is it you want, Barry? You want the moon?
I want the truth!
I see dead people.
You shall not pass!
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
This is Sparta!
I am your father.
Let us fight to free the world, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us all unite!
In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the movie Sputnik. In this movie, the lone survivor of an enigmatic spaceship incident hasn't returned back home alone. Hiding inside his body is a dangerous creature. When in doubt, just tongue the mic, keep it nice and close, and try to talk at a somewhat consistent level, and it will be gold. Mm-hmm. As gold as the blood in this movie from the creature attacking everyone. You like that segue, boys?
That was a good segue.
It was a segue. I don't know if it's good, but...
I didn't realize that this movie was a foreign film.
Wait, really?
No.
Well, yeah, Sam had no idea when I chose it as our movie.
Oh, that's great. Because that was like the big selling point of it going in.
I thought in the beginning, okay, it's got some Russian setup. They're going to dialogue that has captions. Then,
and it just didn't stop.
I'm like, okay, it's a foreign film now.
Yeah.
Which I think plays really well into the whole theme of this.
Моя задача – это разделить паразита и носителя.
Чего еще от меня надо?
Если я руковожу исследованием, почему от меня по-прежнему все скрывают?
It's kind of an interesting strategy where they make the movie feel really big by establishing it in space, but then really when you think about it, it's all done really on one location.
Yeah, I think you could count the number of sets in like one hand almost.
Yeah.
But it felt like a big budget movie.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed. Before I went into this a couple weeks ago, before AJ even mentioned bringing me on, Alex from IHG, the I Hate Everything channel, he did a mini review on this a few weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, this is like a B movie, but you can barely tell. And I'm like, emphasis on the barely tell, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for real.
It isn't down to like sets or anything. It's just the way that shots are composed and lighting's used, and it like really takes advantage of all the space that it has.
Yeah, it's got a lot of very dark sets, which matches the ominous mood that is the thriller/horror vibe of this film, which plays really into that factor of like, wow, where are they now? They're in a chamber, and now she's going down this dark hallway where, like, even where the main character, Tatiana Klimova, played by Oksana Akinshina, sorry if I murdered your name, when she goes into like her room just to stay at the facility, I was like, wow, this feels just like a really big hallway even. It was like a weird thought to have, but...
And part of that bigness, I think, is the relic Soviet architecture that's just everywhere. Everything feels very 1980s Moscow.
Did you guys feel you were back playing Black Ops Call of Duty?
Yeah, that was definitely the first thought I had.
No, much more of a 3D Archer feeling.
Oh yeah, that's a good comparison.
Even his wife in that is Tatiana.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
The best looking set in this that had the most of that like feel to it was when they would cut to the orphanage, like especially in the end when it was daytime in there, it looked real nice.
Whoever the set/art designer of this movie should get a big bonus.
I agree. Everything is very eerie. It almost has I don't know if this is possible, just like a 1980s lighting with the fluorescent lights. It just feels very that time period.
We could go on for quite a while about like how many things this movie reminds a person of, you know?
Yeah.
Like Arrival is the most obvious one. Tastes of what's his name, Alex Garland with Ex Machina, and
that's a really good comparison.
Obviously Alien, but then you look at another movie that kind of apes off of Alien that came out a few years ago called Life, that had like Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal in it.
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, exactly.
The main plot of this movie is that the hero of the Soviet Union, which is Konstantin Veshnikov,
Veshnikov,
played by Pyotr Fyodorov.
Call him
Again.
Peter Frodo.
Peter Frodo. Very sorry. Has an alien basically inside of him as a symbiote type thing from space. Although that's the main overall action thriller part of this film, when I saw Tatiana go and have all these weird little experiences from all these alpha males, either the colonel or the astronaut himself, or even the prisoners in the grounds, it's almost like we're combating Tatiana's drive to be like this really driven person against all these people trying to dominate her.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that until you said it, but she's the only main woman in the cast of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's the orphanage lady who says like 4 lines, and then there's the board at the hospital she was working at the beginning of the movie, but that's basically it.
Well, I think it plays in well where we have this big reveal that Tatiana, when we cut to the orphan scene throughout the film a couple of times, we thought, oh, that's the main astronaut guy's kid that he has to go get, that he left in the orphanage. But it was really Tatiana all along, and how she like overcame both her physical debility of walking with also like the mental drive to be this really smart, driven person.
There was always something new coming up, and that had been previously established that you just kind of had that click moment for.
Right.
Because earlier on in the movie, you know, we see the scar down her back. So it's like, okay, did she have spinal surgery at some point? Well, that explains the orphanage stuff.
Oh, wow. I didn't even connect that.
She almost like drowned a kid that had attachment separation or attachment issues to their parent, when that's clearly something that she was struggling with, conflicting feelings of when she was, you know, an orphan. And then there was also the time when she was kind of caught by Veshnikov, who was saying, what would you do in my situation? And she said, I don't know, I don't have kids. But it all kind of leads up to her, you know, adopting his kid in the end pretty neatly.
Yeah, it's like through this mind F of an ordeal, she's found a bit of humanity inside of her.
No, I think that's right. I mean, she finds that inspiration from Veshnikov himself, who sacrifices himself.
Распорядитесь, пожалуйста, перевести товарища Вишнякова в дневные часы в медблок и разрешить ему общение с гражданским персоналом. Нам нужно хотя бы имитировать нормальную жизнь, чтобы получить приближенную к реальности клиническую картину.
So I want to just say off the bat that I don't know if you guys watched the trailer for this beforehand, but whoever made this trailer is a genius, because it made this movie look like the most horrifying. I was bracing myself for an alien carnage film.
Oh, so like the trailer for It Comes at Night, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, holy shit, I'm going to be shitting my pants. I'm going to have nightmares. I just got to be ready for this. And it is so much more of a slow burn, deliberate tension and terror than it is like jump scares or anything cheap like that. Yeah. And the movie is constantly, as you were kind of alluding to, Bryce, constantly is flipping our understanding of the situation, whether it's the understanding of the creature, the understanding of what it's doing, Veshnikov's understanding of the creature, or the colonel's understanding of the situation. There's multiple hooks that does a really good job of keeping the film engaging all the way to the end.
It's hard to do that in a movie too, where it's not to the point where things aren't cheesy, to pull off a reveal or a twist that hasn't felt generic like we've seen it a million times. And I agree in multiple points in this, I was like, oh wow, really, that is what's happening, or that's what the truth of it is.
Yeah.
Especially where I really didn't see this coming at all, where Tatiana learns that Veshnikov is more or less aware of the alien inside of him.
I think that was the best moment in the whole thing. I
agree, yeah. Like the whole time we're thinking, oh, he has no idea this is going on. And it turns out he's almost controlling it, or he has almost a half consciousness with this creature.
Yeah.
It got really interesting.
I kind of saw it more as at the beginning he was kind of trapped in it when it wasn't in his body. So like he would see and remember the things that it did, but he didn't really have control over it, which played into that theme that was constantly brought up of, you know, what makes a person evil? Where do you draw the line between, you know, doing what's right and going too far?
Something I was conflicted on was the design of the actual alien, and I'm kind of torn because on one level I think it works that they didn't make it overly scary like an Alien vs Predator type design.
Yeah.
To kind of allow you and Tatiana to connect to it and try to want to work with it, not control it. But at the same time, I wasn't super afraid of it. So I don't know. It's kind of I'm split 50-50 on whether or not I'd want it more scary or just keep it normal like how it is in the movie.
I think the creature, it's more of an interest, and I think the more effective scenes of terror and anxiety with this creature are when it is hunting its prey in the holding cell that the government sets up.
When we're not even like looking at it, we're looking at the expressions of the people that it's about to attack.
Right. And the sounds of it moving and the sounds that it's making with its mouth or whatever, I think are the most terrifying parts of it by a long shot. I mean, design wise, it's not an Alien from, Ridley Scott or anything, but the actions and sounds that it's making are I think, very scary.
I'll agree with Sam here that it's a little bit, generic or maybe derivative, but not to the point where it was like distracting or bad. I mean, it's not like it was a little gray or anything.
Well, it was almost cute. It was almost like a little dog.
But doesn't that kind of play into kind of the like uncertainty of this creature?
Yeah.
Do we know how dangerous it is, or is it something that can be, empathetically connected with?
Right. And I was waiting for it to just suddenly like rip out someone's guts, and it kind of did. The whole decapitation angle with it is impressive, I will admit.
We do see a scene though where it almost acts like a dog, where it's circling around the toy.
That was great.
Yeah.
It allows you to connect to it.
I was expecting at the end that she was going to like take that toy out of her purse and give it to the son. Did that not happen? I feel like I imagined it happening.
That would be a logical sequence, but I don't think it happened.
Yeah, because that thing just like disappeared halfway through the movie.
Yeah, no, but you're right. It almost sounds like it would be a perfect thing for that movie to end on because it was his father's thing.
I mean, I think that toy's almost creepier than the alien. So
wow,
I'd be fine with not receiving that myself.
I guess it would be covered in the stomach slime and
that's true
of his dad and like the leg blood of Tatiana. So that's it needs a thorough cleaning at least.
Yeah, it would need to be this hand sanitized for sure.
What I thought was so cool, one more thing about the alien was the way they thought about the actual scientific method of it, that it feeds off of cortisol, and connecting that bigger idea of the people in this scenario and overall as a human race. I think the doctor says it best, where we're kings and queens of creating fear and controlling fear. Now, in this case, the alien is what scares the shit out of us.
The line when he said that was pretty interesting too, because I kind of took it another way. When he said, we're the masters of fear, it sounds like you saw it as like, oh, we control fear and we've conquered the planet with it. I kind of saw it as we're the ones who fear the most or feel the most fear.
I connected it, I guess, more to what I spoke about earlier. We see all the more dominant alpha males in the colonel, the doctor, even the other prisoners at times, and connecting how Tatiana is almost like the alien in this case, where initially they want to control her and they want to make her fear them. In reality, it's the other way around.
That's a good way to look at it. These kinds of military settings provide such a good backdrop for command structure and patriarchal kinds of messaging in the movies.
And that's another good homage to Alien as well, with Ripley and Alien being, the hardcore badass female protagonist.
It was interesting where they kind of conflicted against the idea of Tatiana, where the secretary just comes in and gets swooned by Svechnikov, like, oh, such a hero, fancy, cute man.
Yeah, and then he drugs her so that she sleeps.
Yeah, maybe some coding in there.
That was the one part of the movie where I really didn't buy what was going on.
And he also knew that, like, the magnet thing was in the back of the TV. Was that a thing with tubes? I'm apparently a zoomer, so I don't know.
I guess he's like an engineer, so he knows about electronics and the TV. So, I mean, it's not that much of a stretch, I suppose. But that whole sequence of him, he basically moved through that base completely uninhibited. And for, like, the government knows there's an alien organism in him. And it's just, I don't buy it that they're like, we could just let him roam around. It'll be fine. We only need a lone unarmed secretary to guard him.
Well, it's not 2:30 in the morning yet.
Yeah, right.
He's probably still fine.
Right, and that's what I was thinking. Like, is that really their MO? Where they're like, no, it's not coming out yet, so we don't need to guard him.
That was definitely the weakest part, immersion wise. But I mean, it got him from point A to point B.
I was like, are you guys short staffed or what?
Yeah, like how the security room was manned by one guy. So when the camera stopped working, he had to go fix it.
Right. That's what we were saying as we were watching it. We're like, really? There wasn't like a second guy to help him out?
Times are hard in Soviet Russia.
Yeah, it's dark times.
Good help's hard to find,
Yeah, right, exactly.
Do you guys think if you were in Tatiana's position, you would be willing to open the glass initially to see what the alien would do?
No, when she was doing that, I'm like, what the fuck? You fucking idiot. That was the worst.
I mean, she didn't even ask if the glass was like breakable or not.
Yeah.
Like, I would have at least been like, is this like normal glass? It broke through that one guy's space helmet. Is this like the same material?
To me, that was bonkers that she did that. I would never do that, but that's just me.
If it were me and I was the director of this facility, I would have incinerated Svechnikov and the alien altogether right off the bat. Like, no. This is
too dangerous.
He wants to. I guess that was maybe another gripe or a weak point. It's like, you want to control this thing, like you're going to throw more resources into doing that, and it's not going to be as reliable as just like make a giant gun or something.
Yeah. I'll say that for that character, Colonel Samirodov, for like the first 2/3 of the movie, he was great. Like, I really loved both the character and the way the actor was portraying him as kind of like this, like, he wasn't that dominant. He was kind of like evasive and almost ashamed of himself for the limits that he was pushing.
Смелости вам не занимать. Теперь, по крайней мере, мы знаем, чего делать не надо.
But it seemed like he was driven more by like sheer curiosity. So when it turned into, I'm military man, make weapon from alien, like
that, literally every sci-fi movie ever.
It's also literally the plot of Jurassic World 2, where they're like, we're going to control this dinosaur. Guns, they're great and all, but sometimes you want to be less efficient at killing things.
This is a tangent, but to me, the whole inability to kill a T-Rex in that movie is just astounding. Like,
shoot a missile at it.
I feel like you could shoot it with a couple bullets in the skull, and I think that would do it.
Okay, so AJ hates Jurassic Park. Moving on.
I don't hate it. I'm just saying it makes no sense.
He's just saying that if he was up against a T-Rex, like, it wouldn't stand a chance, basically.
Yeah, for real.
70% chance he'd kill that T-Rex.
Absolutely. The dude can't even see colors, according to that movie. So
yeah, how would it know to stop at a turn signal? It'd get hit by a truck.
Right.
I don't have a clear, concise thought as to if I liked how Tatiana and Svechnikov go up against a bunch of goons at the end. It was cool to see the alien fight, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting the Colonel to die so easily. It kind of was cut weirdly between day and night.
Yeah, you're right. They start at night, and then it just kind of cuts to them driving during the day.
And then the Colonel just magically catches up to them.
And of course, like super bad guy, mega villain, military man, he's like, I'm going to do this myself.
Yeah.
He gets his arm cut off.
Like he becomes a totally different character in the end.
Yeah, he becomes very, very militaristic, like determined, like, I will do this. My men are all dying and they are useless.
We're not so different, you and I.
A little bit of a cheese line.
When I started, like I said, I thought this was going to be a very much, these humans are overwhelmed by the alien, it's going to kill them all. But I think it's interesting how our allegiance shifts to clearly rooting for the alien, including clearly rooting for Veshnikov against these government guys. And I think that was the best thing to take out of that because, yeah, the government people were just single-minded of we must control this because we are in the Cold War and must beat the Americans kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of reflects Game of Thrones, I think, on 2 points. One, on the kind of Jaime role reversal where we hate the guy initially, but then come to really like him or rooting for him. But then also when the Colonel is facing off against the alien and he just walks into the fog, it was kind of like the scene where the horse guys go and just run on their horses into the darkness against the zombies.
Oh, the Army of the Dead.
They
Yeah,
just
yeah.
get owned. Like, why would you do that?
That's a good comparison because it was stupid that he saw like a dozen of his men dead on the ground and he's
just like, I'm gonna murder this thing.
You know what they didn't have? A smoke grenade that they throw past it.
But there was already one going off.
Yeah, right. And he had like a pistol, right? And that's how it.
Also, like at a certain point when none of the bullets damage it at all, like there was no blood or anything coming out of it. You'd think you'd be like, maybe we need something else, like a weighted net, perhaps.
A flamethrower or something.
Yeah, sure.
A like moving mech that could
for real.
grab it with its forceps, and it could be like, get away from her, you bitch.
You mean like in the movie Alien?
Different alien. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. You know, one thing that I forgot to mention is I was bloody confused at why this movie was called Sputnik, because Sputnik was the first space probe by the Soviet Union in 1957. And so I was kind of expecting some sort of tie into that of like, oh, little beknownst to humans, the first probe that went up made alien contact. But this movie takes place in the 80s. And so I was thinking about this for quite a while. And then I Googled the word, and Sputnik in Russian is a word with double meaning. So it means companion, fellow traveler, or attendant. But in the astrological context, it means satellite, which I think perfectly captures the symbiotic relationship between Veshnikov and his parasite of very much a satellite.
I was wondering if there was another meaning to Sputnik in Russian.
I mean, I was actually very impressed with the movie for having such a clever title then.
I thought it was about potatoes.
Yeah, you thought Sputnik meant potatoes?
Hey, wait, it's going to be a farming video.
Now that'd be good. Alien invades a farm.
He pukes up potatoes.
Like maybe it can incorporate like a baseball theme, like signs in the cornfields or something. I don't know, just spitballing here.
Man, we are really bringing out the off the wall movie references in this episode. We got Jurassic Park, Lost World. We got signs.
Well, what do you guys think the budget for this movie was?
So I cheated and I looked this up because I was...
Okay, well, let Bryce answer.
Yeah, all right.
In U.S. dollars.
In U.S. dollars, I'm going to go with... I know it's going to be lower than I think, so I'm going to way underball it. $100,000.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That is a very low budget.
That's like Paranormal Activity budget, I feel like.
No, those cost like $17 million.
So what are you talking about, Sam?
That's like as much money paying their directors as possible.
Also, that movie is literally all special effects.
Those are all like really cheap kind of special effects and easy to do.
Yeah, I know, but you still.
Those are just like money laundering movies.
Okay, AJ, just to prove you wrong, hold on. I'm gonna look up budget for Paranormal Activity. What do you think the Paranormal Activity budget was? U.S. dollars.
I bet you $8 million.
Bryce, what's your guess?
You know what? I'm going to agree with AJ's like low millions range, like less than 5 million. But
Okay.
by the time they get to the sixth one, I'm going to say it's like 30 million.
It's ballooned, despite getting worse in quality.
Exactly, because they're just pocketing the money at that point.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Okay, well, the first Paranormal Activity had a budget of, drumroll, $15,000.
No fucking way. Oh my god. I have been had. Wow.
Yeah, budget estimated $15,000, and it made holy Jesus, a gross in just the USA, $107 million.
Wow, what a return on investment.
And that's why they make horror movies.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
Yeah, you don't get to like 9 Paranormal Activity movies without like just basically being able to open your wallet, pay for the movie, and then make 20 times back in an instant.
No kidding. I mean, I'm sure the studio was itching to make everything about that.
Okay, so Bryce, what do you think the budget was in US dollars for Sputnik then?
I don't know. I remember Hell or High Water was about 11 million, maybe. So I'll say around
Great
that.
movie.
Yeah.
The answer is $2.6 million.
Nice.
190 million, whatever Russian money is.
The ruble.
Rubles.
The ruble's an efficient little piece of paper, I guess.
Was this released in theaters, AJ? Do you know?
No, I saw that this was supposed to debut at a film festival, the Tribeca Film Festival in April, but the pandemic canceled that, and it ended up going direct to streaming. Luckily enough for it, I guess there's this movie platform in Russia or wherever called more.tv, and upon its release, it became the most streamed title on the service in over 2 years or something. So it did really well on the streaming service.
That's fortunate because it'd be so easy for something like this to just get dumped into streaming and
and just be lost forever.
Seen. Yeah, amongst all the other garbage that gets put on there.
And apparently, it was the 5th most rented film on Apple TV.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah. So this had some good legs to it. I feel like, and I'm proud of it. I think it earned it.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not for everyone because it's a slow burn. But I was kind of surprised. I thought based on like descriptions I'd seen of it, I thought I was going to be like super bored going through it. But no, it kept my attention for sure.
Yeah. And I'm really blown away by how good this movie looks and feels for a $3 million budget. That is a really low budget film.
I mean, the limited sets, and they have costumes that all look good. And I mean, clearly they didn't spend any money on the music, but you know.
Oh, I thought the music was I mean, it was like one track, I feel like, of just the kind of dramatic theme. I thought it was good, though.
There were some little ambient pieces too, but it was very like stock movie.
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
It did the job. I kind of see the alien maybe as like the id, and this whole movie is kind of a commentary on the Freudian idea of like the id versus the ego, where, you know, like the alien being the id is like that raw bestial nature that just wants to commit those kinds of evils that Smirnov represents, and then Tatiana comes in as the sort of the ego, where it's, you know, not a perfect representation of trying to be more rule orientated, but over time that's kind of what she represents, and bringing that out of Sveshnikov, who himself thought he was just a monster about partway through.
Get this guy an Oscar, dude.
Yeah, that was well. Yeah, that's a whole other layer that I like. That sounds very apt to me.
Did Bryce just sound better at our entire podcast than us, dude?
That was the plan, dude.
Better rename it the Bryce Podcast.
I literally finished the movie like 30 minutes before I started.
Nice. So you had it all fresh in your head.
My intention was to come in here and show you guys up as much as I could.
Mission accomplished, sir. I mean, I thought it was about potatoes, so.
Yeah, I genuinely forgot about themes because it's been over a week since I've seen this. So the whole moral compass angle you guys have been getting on with, I appreciate because I kind of forgot about it.
Well, out of 10 puking Veshnikovs, what would you guys rate it, and would you recommend for others to watch it?
On Letterboxd, I just gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. So maybe a little closer to like a 7.5 than an 8, but definitely a solid, consistent movie that it sounds interesting to anyone looking for that kind of slower burn sci-fi, or they liked Ex Machina or Arrival, then I'd say definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think those are really good comparisons and the vibe, the sci-fi vibe of this movie. I think I'd place this on the upper 7 range of vomiting Veshnikovs. It's just a very well-produced, well-made tension film. It's such an economically efficient piece for $3 million, and I'm just very impressed with it. And I think it's a good little film to check out if you are into foreign films, especially.
I would concur. I would give it probably a 7.7 puking Veshnikovs just for the tension, the amazing look and tone, and the underlying themes that it gets you thinking about.
Yeah, and I just looked up the director, and it looks like this is only his third major movie. So,
wow.
Like, we could be seeing this guy again.
I've seen so many other sci-fi movies that are just utter trash. And I expect them to be utter trash. And so when you see something this fresh and clever in the genre, it's worth poking into.
All right. Well, as always, thank you everybody for listening to the Video Lab podcast. And thank you to our wonderful guest, Mr. Bryce. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, be sure to email us at thevideolabpodcast@gmail.com. And stay tuned for the next episode where we'll be reviewing the critically acclaimed Underworld movie.
You can find my review for this movie and other movies at my blog, asajthinks.com. And be sure to rate and subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening.
Until next time, see ya. Peace.